Every single day, millions of people wake up and begin feeding their bodies almost immediately. A sweetened coffee, a quick snack, a late breakfast, another snack in the afternoon, dessert at night, and then just before bed, one more bite of something small. They believe this constant stream of food keeps the body nourished, stable, and healthy. In many cases, it may be doing the exact opposite. Here is the phrase I want you to remember: autophagy. It is one of the most important survival mechanisms built into human biology. In 2016, the science behind it was so significant that it was recognized with the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. The word itself means self-eating. That sounds extreme. It is not extreme. It is intelligent. It is your cells identifying damaged proteins, worn out internal structures, and dysfunctional cellular debris, breaking them down and recycling the raw materials so healthier components can take their place. In other words, under the right conditions, your body does not merely rest. It cleans house. My name is Dr. Ethan. I have spent more than 15 years studying nutritional biochemistry, metabolic health, and the relationship between cellular stress responses and disease prevention. Today, I am going to show you one simple thing you can do that may help activate one of the body's most ancient repair programs. But stay with me until the end, because the most dangerous part of this conversation is not ignorance. It is overconfidence. Millions of people online now talk about autophagy as if it were a magic switch. Fast for this exact number of hours, they say, and your body starts devouring disease. That is not how the science works. The biology is real. The cellular recycling is real. The potential benefits are real. But the myths surrounding it are now spreading faster than the evidence. And that matters because when people misunderstand a powerful biological process, they do one of two things. They ignore it completely or they abuse it recklessly. Neither is wise. Before we discuss what you should actually do, I need to give you a short but essential explanation of the underlying biology. Please do not skip this section. If you understand these mechanisms, the rest of this video will make complete sense. When you are eating constantly, your body remains in what is called the fed state. Insulin rises, nutrients are abundant, energy is readily available. In that state, your cells prioritize growth, storage, and immediate use of incoming fuel. That is normal. But when you stop eating for long enough, a different program begins to emerge. First, insulin levels begin to fall. Second, your body starts using up stored glycogen, especially in the liver. Third, as that process continues, your metabolism begins to shift away from constant glucose dependence and toward mobilizing fat and producing ketones. This is what researchers call metabolic switching, and that switch does more than change what fuel you burn. It changes the signals your cells receive. Ketone bodies are not merely backup fuel. They act as signaling molecules. They influence stress resistance. They affect inflammation. They alter how cells respond to damage. And under energy stress, pathways involved in cellular cleanup and recycling become more active. That is where autophagy enters the picture. Autophagy is not your body eating disease in the cartoonish way social media often suggests. It is more precise than that. It is your cells packaging damaged components into membrane-bound structures and sending them to the lysosome, the cell's recycling compartment, where they are broken down and reused. Damaged proteins, defective mitochondria, cellular clutter, not all at once, not dramatically, not visibly, silently, and that silence is exactly why most people underestimate it. Now, here is the one behavior I want you to focus on. Stop feeding your body from morning until midnight. More specifically, create a consistent overnight fasting window long enough to give your metabolism a genuine break from constant intake, not a starvation stunt, not a 3-day challenge, not an ego contest. A real, sustainable, physiologically meaningful break between your last calorie at night and your first calorie the next day. For many people, that means starting with 12 hours. For some, if it is medically appropriate and well tolerated, it may mean 13, 14, or occasionally more. But the goal is not to chase an internet number. The goal is to stop living in a perpetual fed state. Because when you do that, 4 important things begin to happen. The first is that your body becomes less dependent on constant incoming fuel. This matters far more than most people realize. Many people today live metabolically trapped. They are not starving. They are not malnourished. Yet they are biologically uncomfortable whenever food is absent for even a short period of time. They become irritable, foggy, shaky, or anxious, not necessarily because something is medically wrong, but because their metabolism has become accustomed to continuous supply. A longer overnight fast begins to retrain that system. Your body starts remembering that it can access stored energy, that it can move from external fuel to internal fuel, that it does not need to panic the moment food is absent. This is one reason fasting patterns are associated in research with improvements in glucose regulation and insulin sensitivity. The body is no longer being asked to process incoming calories every waking hour. It gets a period of metabolic quiet. And metabolic quiet is not metabolic weakness. It is often where repair begins. The second thing that happens is the one most people came here to hear about. Autophagy-related cellular cleanup becomes more active. Let me be careful here. I am not telling you that a single overnight fast will melt away illness. I am not telling you that if you skip breakfast, your body will suddenly cure itself. That would be irresponsible. What I'm telling you is that autophagy is a real fundamental recycling system in living cells. It becomes especially relevant during nutrient deprivation and other forms of cellular stress. This is one reason the discovery of its mechanisms was awarded the Nobel Prize. Cells that can remove damaged internal material more efficiently are better equipped to maintain homeostasis, adapt to stress, and preserve function. Think of it this way. If you never stop bringing new boxes into a crowded house, you never create time to remove the broken furniture already inside. That is how many people live metabolically. More input, more snacking, more constant stimulation, very little cleanup. The third thing that happens is where human evidence becomes especially interesting. You may begin to see modest but meaningful improvements in metabolic markers. And here I want to separate online fantasy from published research. The strongest human evidence is not that fasting makes you immortal. It is not that it dissolves tumors. It is not that it replaces medicine. The strongest evidence is more measured and, in my opinion, more useful. In adults with metabolic dysfunction, time-restricted eating has been associated with improvements in weight, blood sugar regulation, insulin dynamics, and in some studies, blood pressure and body fat distribution. In a 2024 randomized controlled trial involving adults with metabolic syndrome, participants who limited eating to an 8 to 10 hour daily window for 3 months showed modest but statistically significant improvement in hemoglobin A1C and reductions in weight, body mass index, and trunk fat. Notice what I said. Modest, not magical. But modest physiological improvements, repeated consistently over time, are exactly how chronic disease risk begins to change. Most life-changing biology is not explosive, it is cumulative. Atherosclerosis is cumulative. Insulin resistance is cumulative. Inflammation is cumulative. Cellular damage is cumulative, and so is repair. If your body spends months or years getting no real break from digestion, storage, and constant nutrient signaling, you should not be surprised when metabolic health begins to deteriorate. But if you start building regular, intelligent periods of rest into that system, you may begin shifting the trajectory in the opposite direction. The fourth thing that happens is the part almost everybody misunderstands. More is not automatically better. This is where online health culture becomes dangerous. People hear that fasting may support autophagy, so they immediately want the maximum possible dose. If 12 hours is good, then 16 must be better. If 16 is better, then 24 must be powerful. If 24 is powerful, then 72 must be extraordinary. This is not science. This is ideology wearing a lab coat. The truth is far more nuanced. In humans, we do not have a precise universal clock that tells us autophagy begins at hour 13, 16, or 24 in every tissue, in every person, under every condition. Some of the most popular claims online come from animal data, mechanistic inference, or oversimplified extrapolation. Human evidence remains promising but incomplete. And that matters because fasting is not equally safe for everyone. If you are pregnant, underweight, frail, recovering from an eating disorder, elderly with risk of muscle loss, or taking glucose-lowering medications such as insulin or sulfonylureas, fasting is not something you should experiment with casually. People with type 1 diabetes, recent cardiovascular events, poor glycemic control, or a history of disordered eating require particular caution. This is why I said at the beginning that the greatest danger danger is overconfidence. A real biological tool becomes harmful the moment people confuse it with a universal cure. If you find this kind of evidence-based, practical health information valuable, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. I publish one new video every week, and every video follows the same principle. Peer-reviewed science translated into clear, useful guidance you can actually apply. No hype, no miracle claims, no supplements to sell, just the evidence and what it means for your health. Now, let me tell you how to use this information wisely. If your goal is to support the body's natural repair systems, the most effective starting point is not an extreme fast. It is a disciplined evening cutoff. Finish dinner earlier. Eliminate the casual post-dinner calories that most people barely register. The sweet drink, the crackers, the bowl of cereal, the healthy snack, the handful of nuts that turns into 3 handfuls, the desserts that quietly extend your eating window to 15 or 16 hours every day without you even realizing it. Then allow your body a real overnight pause. 12 hours is a strong and realistic starting point for many people. For example, finish eating at 7:30 p.m. and do not consume calories again until 7:30 a.m. the next morning. If that feels easy, and if your health status allows, you may gradually extend it. Not because a magic transformation occurs at one exact minute, but because a longer break from constant feeding can deepen the metabolic shift. During that fasting period, hydration matters, water matters, sleep matters, and this next point matters enormously. What you do during your eating window matters just as much as the window itself. You cannot fast recklessly and eat recklessly and expect precision biology to reward you. If your eating window is filled with highly processed foods, chaotic meal timing, inadequate protein, poor micronutrient intake, and chronic overeating, do not expect fasting alone to rescue you. Autophagy is not a moral loophole. It is a biological process operating inside a larger metabolic context. There is another piece many people overlook: exercise. Fasting is not the only signal that influences cellular cleanup. Physical activity, especially appropriately challenging exercise, also appears to stimulate autophagy-related pathways, particularly in skeletal muscle. In other words, a body that moves regularly is often better at maintenance than a body that is merely underfed. That means the strongest strategy is not passive deprivation. It is intelligent rhythm, periods of nourishment, periods of rest from nourishment, regular movement, adequate protein, consistent sleep, lower late-night eating, and enough discipline to let the body do what it was designed to do when it is not being overwhelmed continuously. I want to be honest with you about something. When I first began carefully reviewing the literature on fasting, autophagy, metabolic switching, and time-restricted eating, my first reaction was not excitement. It was disappointment. Disappointment because a process this important has been so badly distorted in public conversation. On one side, you have people dismissing it entirely, as if meal timing never matters and the body responds only to total calories. On the other side, you have people treating fasting as a cure for nearly every disease known to medicine. Both extremes miss the truth. The truth is quieter. The truth is that the human body possesses extraordinary maintenance systems. The truth is that constant abundance changes how those systems behave. The truth is that strategic periods without food appear to activate adaptive responses that may improve resilience, glucose regulation, body composition, and cellular housekeeping. And the truth is that none of this should be turned into superstition. So let us bring everything together. If you do one thing after watching this video, let it be this. Stop eating so late, so often, and so continuously that your body never gets a true metabolic break. That single shift may help your body do what it has evolved to do for millions of years. Move from storage toward repair, from constant input toward selective recycling, from nonstop feeding toward metabolic flexibility. Not perfectly, not instantly, but meaningfully. Here are the practical steps I want you to take. Create a consistent overnight fasting window. Start with 12 hours. Remove late-night snacking completely. If you tolerate it well and your health allows, gradually lengthen the window. Do not combine fasting with binge eating. Preserve muscle by eating enough protein and moving your body regularly. And if you have diabetes, are on glucose-lowering medications, are pregnant, elderly, and frail, underweight, or have a history of disordered eating, speak with a qualified healthcare professional before making major changes. Before I finish, I want to ask you something, and I genuinely want to hear your answer. What do you think is the harder habit to break? Late-night eating, constant snacking, or the belief that if you are not eating every few hours, something must be wrong? Let me know in the comments below. And if there is a specific health topic you want me to investigate in a future video, fasting, inflammation, supplements, meal timing, or a daily habit you are unsure about, leave that in the comments as well. I read every comment, and your questions help shape the future research on this channel. Before we end, there is one final message I want to leave you with. Think about someone you care about who eats from the moment they wake up until the moment they go to sleep and has never once considered that the timing of eating may matter just as much as the quantity. A parent, a sibling, a spouse, a friend with prediabetes, someone doing everything they can to eat healthy while unknowingly giving their body no real rest at all. They do not know what you know now, and you can change that in seconds simply by sharing this video with them, not to frighten them, not to make them skip meals recklessly, but to give them a more accurate understanding of how the human body repairs, adapts, and protects itself. Because prevention does not begin in the hospital. It begins with what you understand before disease becomes obvious. As always, I want to end with an important clarification. Everything presented in this video is intended for educational and informational purposes only. It is not personal medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The evidence on fasting, autophagy, and metabolic health continues to evolve, especially in humans, and future research may refine or change current understanding. I strongly encourage you to consult your physician, registered dietitian, or another qualified healthcare professional before making significant dietary changes, particularly if you have a medical condition or take prescription medication. The mission of this channel has always been simple: to translate complex scientific evidence into practical, responsible, evidence-based information you can actually use. Not to replace your doctor, not to create unnecessary fear, and not to sell you false certainty, but to help you make smarter decisions with the best evidence currently available. Thank you for watching. I'm Dr. Ethan.